In today's video, we'll be talking about some of the best Python one-liners that you should know. Of course, one-liners aren't meant to build large projects, but they are here and they can be useful in minimizing the number of lines being used, and they look pretty cool. So make sure to follow till the end and comment down below which of these 7 one-liners you guys know. And if you happen to know other one-liners, make sure to mention them down in the comments. We can declare multiple variables in this manner, but we can do all of this in a simple one line. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention the name of the variables separated by a colon. So A, colon B, colon C, and then mention the respective data type. So A will store Python, B will store the number 12, and C will store a boolean value which is true. Now let me go ahead and print them. So print A, B, and C, Shift F10, and we got Python, 12, and of course true. I used 2 lines of code to actually declare my variables and 2 lines of code to iterate through LST1 and append the values but multiplied by 2 in LST2. But we can do all of this in a simple one line. What I could do is I could go down here and mention LST3, which will be equal to I multiplied by 2 for I in LST1. And let us print LST2 and LST3. So this is going to be LST2 and print LST3 right over here. Let's go ahead and see what will happen. And we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we got the same output. So what exactly happened here is that we iterate through LST1 and we multiplied the element by 2 and added it inside the LST3. Now what if I added a condition and I said if I mod 2 equal to 0, and I'm gonna only append the elements that are divisible by 2. Right now we're going to have a different output. Okay, so what about we do the same thing here on here? What we can do is we can mention the condition if I mod 2 equal to 0, and we get the same output. So 4 and 8 are the numbers that can be divisible by 2 or divided by 2, so we got the same output in both of those lists. Now there's another way, and this is by using the map function. So I can say LST3 or 4 this time equal to map, and this map function takes 2 arguments. The first argument will be a function, and in my case I'm going to use an anonymous function called lambda, and it will take a second argument which will be the sequence that I'm trying to iterate through, and in my case I'm trying to iterate in LST1. I'm gonna say x, and what x will do here, or what it will serve as here, is that it will be the same as I. It will iterate through the sequence and multiply the element by 2. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a colon, and after it I'm gonna specify what the lambda function will do. So I'm gonna say x multiplied by 2. Now if I go ahead and print LST4, we won't get the output that we expect because we didn't convert the map function into a list, and right now Python doesn't know that we want our answer in the form of a list. So I'm gonna say list, and I'm converting this function into a list. So let us go ahead and see print LST4, and we got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. We can use the ternary operator to create an if-else statement in one line. So I'm checking here if the number 12 is even or odd. So I used 4 lines of code to check it out, and of course we'll get through because 12 is divisible by 2. Now we could do it in a simple one line. I'm going to say var2. This var2 will be equal to, well, we'll say inside true if var mod 2 equal to 0, else I'm gonna say false. And if I print var2, of course we'll get true. And we got true for the first one and true for the second one. And this is the ternary operator. First, you'll specify what you will print if the condition evaluated true, but if it evaluated false, you'll print what you want. So in my case, it is false. So to create a list of numbers from 1 to 10, you'll write 1, 2, 3 automatically. What if you want to add 100 elements inside the list? That will be hard, right? So what you can do is you can say LST is equal to, and you can say, open brackets first and say I for I in range 10. And if you remember, we saw this method earlier in this video. Now if we go ahead and print LST, let's go ahead and see what's the output. And of course we got a list from 0 to 9. Of course these are the first 10 elements. We have another method to do the same thing. I could say LST2 and use the range function to generate the numbers from 0 to 9, or the first 10 elements. So range 10. But right now Python doesn't know that I want it inside a list, so that's why I need to convert this range function into a list. So lst or list, and right now if I print lst2, we should get the same output. And yes, we got the same output. Now honestly, I prefer the first method because I can create an even and odd list. So let me show it to you. I could say even equal to I for I in range 10, and I could specify a condition if I mod 2 equal to 0, and so it will add for me all the numbers that are divisible by 2. Now in this odd list, I'm gonna do the same thing. How about I go ahead and copy it and change only the condition. So instead of the equal sign, I'll say the difference sign. And look at that, we got a even list and an odd list. So let's say you want to create a reverse list for the first 10 elements. All you can do is say lst3 equal to I for I in range. So at first, the range function will take the first input, which is the starting point, let's say 10, and the ending input, which is -1. Why -1? Because I want to take the 0. Remember, -1 is excluded. Next, I need to specify the step, and by default, the step is +1. But I want to make it -1 because I want to decrement the elements. I'll get from 10 to 0. Now, if I wanted from 9, I could go ahead and start from 9. And there you go, 9 till 0. Of course, you can create the same thing using the range function. So list range 9 -1 and add the step, which is -1. I'm going to print lst4 and we should get the same output, which is from 9 to 0. To reverse a string in Python, we need to use a for loop. So we got Python but reversed. But as you can see, this is a long process and we can do it in a simple one line. What I'm going to say is res2 equal to string and use the slicing method. So double colon -1, and if I print res2, we should get the same output. And there you have it. And this method will be useful for you when you're doing a project to know if a string is palindrome or not, and a palindrome word is a word that can be read backwards, same as forward. So like the level word. So if you reverse this word, it will be the same as if you read it right now. We can easily swap two variables without creating a temporary variable, like saying C equal to A, then A will be equal to B, and B will be equal to C, and then print A, B, and of course right now they are reversed. So A will be 13 and B will be 12. But all of this process is a waste of time because we can do it with only one line. So AB equal to BA, and let me go ahead and print the output, and we should get the same output, which is AB, but they are reversed. So A is 13, and let me take off this window. A is 13 and B is 12. So I have a list that contains the first 10 elements, and let's say I want to print its elements on the same line. So I'm going to say for I in LST, print I, and next to it I'm going to mention end equal to empty string, and right now let's go ahead and see what will happen. 0, 1, 2 until 9 on the same line. But we can do this in only one line. So instead of the for loop, I could go ahead and say print asterisk sign and LST. Look, it will be the same output. And look at that, they are on the same line. Let me go ahead and skip them a line by adding a print statement, because we know that a empty print statement will skip a line. And this is the output. And this is it on the 7 Python one-liners you need to know. Of course, if you know more than that, make sure to comment down below and tell me, what else do you know is a cool Python one-liner? And if you happen to know any of these one-liners mentioned in this video, make sure to let me know down in the comments. But if you are someone who is looking for an in-depth Python tutorial or need to refresh their memory, make sure to check out my Python tutorial playlist. Or if you are already skilled in Python and you want to learn a new skill like web development in HTML and CSS, well, this playlist is for you. Check out my HTML and CSS tutorial series for beginners.